Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Grandmaster Attack GM in the 5-minute pool on ICC. Let's play some Blitz, shall we? So I'm sporting a hefty 25-44 rating. I'm not going to venture to say that I'm overrated because I want to be optimistic about this game and my chances. It has been a little while since I played Blitz on ICC, so let's just try to develop normally and see what happens. I can take this pawn, but I feel like white will win it back pretty easily. So I think e6 is the best course of action. I like this system that I'm employing against the Pseudo-Trompowsky bishop g5. I think the guy I'm playing is Grandmaster Julian Hodgson, who is an English Grandmaster, and he is one of the foremost practitioners of the Trompowsky variation. Oh, and he actually says in the chat, like your streams. So he is a viewer of the channel, apparently. Just going to tell him thanks. So hopefully you'll see this later, Mr. Hodgson. Would love if you commented on the videos, by the way. I don't often have title players chiming in and commenting on these videos, so if you would be so inclined, if you feel inclined to do so, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So he's expanding pretty fast on the queen side. Just debating if I want to take some action against that, but I think castling is probably appropriate to begin with. I can try to play b5 and maybe beat him to the spot with a5 after that, but b5 he's going to play a4. If I play a5 then he takes, I take b4. I don't know if that's working out in my favor. It's sort of complicated. I could play knight here first too. Most likely he'll take. That's interesting. Knight e4 take, pawn takes even? It's kind of radical though. Bishop takes would be the normal move, but then he castles, I play b5, he plays a4. Don't like that. So I'm just looking at a5 again. Or sorry, b5 first. b5, a4, critical. a5 takes, take b4. He takes on c6 always, though. That's going to slow me down. No, I think I'm just going to go with knight e4. We'll keep it simple like that. Yeah, let's take here. He just castles. And I'm thinking maybe bishop f6, looking to play e5 in the future. Could also play bishop d8 and just try to maneuver the bishop to c7. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm not holding up this plan of b5. That's my only misgiving about the current position. Feels like he has clear play on the queen side, whereas I'm figuring out what to do. But I'm going to try to arrange e5 as a countermeasure against his play. This is a common idea, by the way, bishop d8 to c7, looking to swap these b's. Hope everyone is having a great start to their 2017. I've been doing a lot of cleaning and taking care of random errands in the first half of 2017, but I'm feeling good. It's the afternoon right now, almost 2 o'clock. Good time to play some chess. Takes there, okay. So I can take here if I want. He takes d7, I take f2. Seems like that should be an imbalance maybe in my favor. Let's do that. Yeah. So if he takes d7, I take f2. He's better on the queen side, but I've messed up his king a little bit. So I gotta... Oh, wait. I just lost a piece in this transaction. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, that's not good. All right, I gotta take on f2 anyways and try to make the best of it. But yeah, I'm just gonna be down a piece. That was a pure miscalculation on my part. I thought I was getting the same amount of pieces as him, but that was not the case. All right, well, when you've made a mistake and you find yourself in a bad position, you just have to strive to make the game as complex as possible. I mentioned this before, but this is often the only way you're going to get back in the game. So let's look for swindling chances, like f6 maybe? Yeah, let's start with f6. He takes here, I take e5. Hey, it looks mildly messy. Let's pre-move this move. He doesn't have to take. He could also just move his bishop away somewhere. Maybe g6 just to control the f7 square. I think that's a probable destination. Okay, so I'd like to get at d4/c5, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And if I trade and then play queen g3, it looks aggressive, but I think queen d2 covers everything. So I'm not seeing what I get out of this. I can play e4, but queen d2, again, he's starting to cover everything there. Maybe queen e7 to g5 looks extremely slow, though. Queen a5 just to try to disrupt queen d2. He can play queen e1, however. Okay, but at least that keeps some chances alive. So let's play this. Looks like a really weird move, but I'm just trying to stop him from coordinating. If he coordinates here, I'm just going to be down a piece and obviously losing. I am losing anyways, but if he manages to get his pieces working sensibly, I will lose even faster, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so bishop b3. I can throw this pawn down the board, a5, a4. Probably worth a shot, right? Guess he has queen c1 on deck. But now, let's not calculate it too much. Let's just strive for activity. I'm also down on the clock as well. So tickling him with a4 is not that big of a deal as far as he's concerned, but I could see it being an annoyance at least. Maybe e4 first. He's got queen c1 coming, though. Let's play a4. He's going to put the bishop on c2. And if I take, I think he's going to... Whoa, that move I was not anticipating. But that's probably a good move, actually. Yeah, that's a very good move. And I might just be struggling now. More so than I was already. Yeah, pinning. And I can't get at e3 either. b6, queen takes a4. Or even just pawn takes is fine. Yeah, nothing doing there. All right, let's just take. I think he can calmly recapture. No big deal. Rook f4, perhaps. All right, we're trying desperate tactics. Queen takes a4 is certainly sufficient. Okay. He's gonna check. Yeah, and then if g6, rook takes b7 is coming. Okay, I think high time I resign that. Ooh, too bad. That was just a calculation mistake on my part. It's weird because I saw the in-between move. I knew that c takes d7 would be played, but I just didn't realize I was going to be down a piece. For some reason, I thought I was getting 2 pieces for the 2 pieces I was giving up, but that was obviously not the case. So I think after b takes c6, I should have just recaptured b takes c6 back, and then the game would go on as normal. So inserting this in-between move was my downfall. And that points to something I've mentioned before in a lot of videos, but anytime in-between moves are concerned, you have to be hyper-vigilant. And I wasn't there. I just miscounted the material. Let me go into examine mode, just so we can take a look here. So this early bishop g5, the pseudo-Trompowsky, the proper Trompowsky is this. d4, knight f6, bishop g5, attacking the knight on f6. So white introduces this possible imbalance of trading the bishop for the knight. And Mr. Hodgson is an expert on that system, like I said. I think bishop g5 against d5 is considered to be less promising for white, just because the bishop is hitting against air. There's no knight on f6. However, white is pinning the e-pawn, so black does have to negotiate that idea. So I just played h6, getting the bishop to back off a little bit. Useful move, especially if you ever want to play bishop f5 back to h7. And then c6, and I put the queen out on b6, attacking the pawn on b2. I have had luck with this system in the past, so I think it leads to fluid development for black. Bishop out to f5. I haven't seen this approach with c4, though. This is something new to me. Most of my opponents here have just played in calm fashion, e3, bishop e2, castles. And if they've gone c4, it's only happened much later in the game. So c4 right here, it crossed my mind whether I can take this pawn, but it just feels like, even though he can't take right away due to queen takes b2, it feels like he can win that pawn back without too many issues. Let's say just, I don't know, e3, threatening bishop takes c4. Maybe I could play... Maybe I could give a check and then play b5, though. Buy time to play b5. That's interesting. Oops. Did not mean to do that. So take e3. Yeah, check on one of these two squares, probably a5. And put the b pawn up. Not completely sure how that's going to turn out. Like maybe a4 is strong, threatening a discovery on my queen. I could also perhaps play bishop d3 against e3. Make him swap off the light square bishops. Again, I'm not optimistic that I'll be able to hold that pawn, but it's going to inconvenience white trying to win it back. But I just played e6. He goes knight c3. Now I think if I take e4 is coming with tempo because it's protected by the knight. So he can just play bishop takes c4 after that. Even that is not 100% clear though, right? Bishop g4, and if takes, I take on f3 and then win d4. So there's some subtlety involved here. But I just played knight d7. This is the usual plan for black. So put the knight on d7. I like to play bishop e7 after that to challenge their dark square bishop. And then if they back the bishop off to g3, let's say, just knight gf6 and get ready to castle. So he advanced c5. So now white has a space advantage on the queen side. But this is not a structure I think that should worry black too much. I was already spending some time figuring out if I could challenge on the queen side. I mean, here, for instance, one move I could consider already is b6. And then after b4, because white wants to defend the pawn on c5, trying to undermine further with a5. But it's crucial that white can play a3 here. If white was not able to play a3, then I might be onto something with this whole plan. But a3 nicely stabilizes. And after the trades, it's crucial that white has a1 defended. It's a good rule of thumb. If you're thinking about undermining a pawn on c5 with b6 followed by a5 when they support it with b4, often the deciding factor whether you should go for that or not is if your opponent can play a3 and support that entire chain. And that comes down to whether the rook on a1 will be defended or not. Might be worth considering, though, after a5, a3, what if I play b5 now? Trying to get the structure that I got in the game, where I've effectively stopped white from playing a4 against my pawn b5 move, and maybe I can play this in the future at a more convenient time. It looks a little weird to have played b6 and then b5, though. But otherwise, the position is not hugely open. I do have to watch out for potential sacrifices like bishop takes b5 or knight takes b5. I mean, this doesn't look like a walk in the park for black. Knight c7 check on deck. So bishop e7, white expands with b4. And I spent a little, like I was saying, a little time right around here. This next move was almost a minute on my clock. It's probably not justified this early. And then I just played a normal move, knight e4, looking to swap. But yeah, at b5, I was calculating the ramifications of this, trying to create this pawn square, pawn tension. And then if he takes, I take here, what happens in this case? But ultimately, I don't know if it's a great idea. I see now that I can perhaps play knight takes c5 here, though, either before or after the trade of the rooks on a1. Let's say right here. It's not a move I considered during the game. I'm curious about this. Let me just put the engine on real quick here. So if I play b5, it says white should just castle. But what if a4? Is a5 a good idea? a5 is a good idea. Okay, and black is doing fine. The advantage actually swings in black's favor ever so slightly. So if take, and white continues chomping, just queen takes c6 is good. Okay. Well, that's kind of what I was trying to avoid. I was trying to avoid a situation where white has this protected pass pawn on c5, and I have a pass pawn, but a potentially just weak pass pawn on b4. But maybe it's not as weak as I felt. Knight d1, knight e4. Black has a lot of activity. I bet knight takes c5 is also acceptable here. Yeah, also not bad. And b5 is the move that the computer is recommending in this position. Okay. Well, I learned something right there, that in this type of position, especially I think when white isn't castled yet, I can probably look to play this. And I have to consider what happens if white plays a4, but the stakes are higher with white and having his king in the center if this sort of pawn square takes shape. Huh, very interesting. And of course, there's also this capture too, but then black's idea would be to push b4 and try to recover this pawn. I think if knight a2, probably push b3. That would be my assumption. But yeah, bishop d8 actually looks good too. Interesting. And if white takes here, we get to pin the knight. Awkward for white. Note that b1 is controlled too, so white can't play rook b1 to support the knight. So I went knight e4. And after this trade, I think I hit upon the right idea. So bishop d8, looking to trade this good bishop on g3. Yep, and after bishop takes, b takes c6 rather, should have just recaptured. And it looks like we have a pretty standard position. Again, white has a space edge on this wing, but I'm about ready to trade the bishops. Let's assume that white does the job for me. I always have this counter attack in the center, e5, trying to challenge white's structure. And we can't discount that bishop on b1 the more I look at this position, because it is controlling, the bishop on e4 rather, controlling b1. This is the only truly open file in the position, and I might be able to occupy it first with rook b8 coming up. Yeah, I think black's completely fine here. But instead, bishop takes g3. He takes d7 in between move, and I'm going to be losing that bishop. I have two pieces attacked. I have to save my queen somehow. And I tried after this, but he didn't allow me too many tricks. It's worth noting again, though, that when you're in a bad or just straight up losing position, you have to try to create confusion most of the time. Like, I can't simply swap down pieces and hope to somehow save the game that way. No, I have to create as much chaos on the board as possible. Even if white's advantage grows, I'm going to be looking for the continuations that create the messiest type of position, because if I play too calmly, it's easy for white. Yeah, a nice idea here, inducing me to play a4, but then playing queen a5, and white has the pin on my queen, so there's nothing. I can't even send my queen to a good square. The queen is basically trapped. So well played by white, taking advantage of my mistake on move, what was it, 16/17, move 17, playing bishop takes g3. Hopefully this was somewhat enlightening as far as the pawn structure going on in the center and on the queen side. So I think if I was going to challenge on the queen side, I could have done so earlier with b5 followed by a5 before white castled. And after I embarked on this plan, and the trade of the dark square bishops presumably happens, I think black's chances are fine had I played b takes c6 here. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my loss in this game, and I'm going to play a couple more games, so I'll see you again soon. Bye.